he picked the wrong family, and not scared of a conflict, and we're not scared. We're not running. We're coming at him.
Well, hey guys, I just thought we would take a look at what Sheriff Grady Judd has to say about the Home Depot thefts. So let's get into it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. Of course, she needs no introduction, but our Attorney General, the best Attorney General in the entire United States, and in the world, if there happens to be one outside of the United States. Ashley Moody's with us today, and she is really the one that has created this organized retail crime task force statewide, and we're eternally appreciative of your work. And we also have Michael Giddens from FDLE. He's a supervisor out of Orlando. I'm going to give you an overview for just a minute, and then I'm going to turn it over to our Attorney General Moody, who is going to explain to you how all of this is able to come together. First and foremost, as we named it Operation Heavy Lift, it's a very complicated investigation that started back in October 26, 2021. At that time, the Indian River Sheriff's Office made criminal charges and obtained a warrant. And it was for this guy, Byron Johnson. They didn't know, and we didn't know at the time, that he would turn out to be the ringleader of a very large operation. So when he was not available to arrest, they obtained a warrant for him. And then we found him in Orange County, where he was subsequently taken into custody. So we arrested him in January of 2022. And in January of 22, he was arrested and released on those charges pending trial. Okay, so follow me a second. I'm going to explain to you that if people aren't in jail, then they're out committing crime. Even though he was arrested for a grand theft of this heavy equipment, he posted bond, he's out, and he's still committing theft. He's got his team together. People order through him. He tells his team, they go do one-day rentals, and things are cooking very well. So on January the 27th, 2022, after he's released earlier in the month, we are surveilling him because of our friends for Home Depot and their organized retail crime team. They're just remarkable, absolutely remarkable. So we catch our newfound criminal buddy with another piece of equipment. We stopped him for driving while his license was suspended or revoked. We did the background and found out he just rented the equipment and it was still a legal rental, so we couldn't charge him with that, but we took him to jail that day, saving that piece of equipment from ultimately being stolen. So he posted bond and he's out again. Does he appear? Of course not. He does not appear on the charges here. So he's arrested subsequent to the FTA warrant or failure to appear warrant. But that's kind of an interesting arrest. Can we cue up the monitor here and see Volusia County got into a pursuit with him? And this is what ultimately occurred. We're going to show you just a brief clip after the car was stopped. Now, this is at the end of the pursuit. Now, he's the driver, but he's jumped into the back seat. That's Johnson. Did you notice the cell phone that dropped? Some more of the criminal enterprise? So understand that he is stopped by Volusia County, which did a remarkable job on Patrol Live. Well, some of the Home Depot team is watching Patrol Live. They call our detective and said, hey, Volusia County's just stopped our guy. Our detective gets on the phone and on his phone and says, get me that phone and we'll take over that case. What you've just stopped is not just a guy fleeing from you with children in the car, by the way, but he is the ringleader of a massive operation. So this was a perfect operation by Volusia County and an example of why this task force is so important. So they were taken into custody again. The irony is, in the meantime of all of this, he, meaning Byron, and this is the simple version, pleads guilty to his original theft in Indian River, and he's given 58 days credit in jail, time served, and 2 years probation. Oh, I got to put this back out here and tell you this. He has to go to an anti-theft class. Did you hear what I said? General, can you believe that? The class didn't do any good at all. And we have given him our own anti-theft class when we told him, when we arrested him, we're watching you, we're investigating you. He and his team continued to steal from Home Depot.
Oh my God, anti-theft. theft squad. What the hell is going on? I don't know. Grady Judd will get his man.
So at the end of the day, we know that they put a lot of property into hands of people who went online in social media. I'll pay you this much for a stump grinder. I'll pay you this much for a piece of heavy equipment. We have found that they've stolen 61 pieces of equipment. The loss to Home Depot is well over $1 million. We today are charging the theft of 50 pieces of equipment, and the current value is $600,000. For the purposes of criminal charges, we had to make it the current market value of the equipment. But when it was purchased and by Home Depot, it was well over $1 million. We've only recovered 10 pieces of this equipment. So here's what I'm telling the community. If you bought a piece of equipment from Byron Johnson or any of these other folks, you can turn it into us because it is stolen, and you're now told that it's stolen. You can turn it in and not be charged. But if you wait for us to come to your house or your business to find it, guess what? You too will go to jail. All of these people are from Orlando, Orange County, except Ivan Ramirez. Ivan owns Smiley Construction Rentals over in Bradenton, and he would order from Johnson and say, I need this piece of equipment, try to get me low hours. So old Ivan's in jail. We're still chasing around these two folks, Natasha Anderson and Dwight Williams. So call Crime Stoppers, 1-800-226-TIPS. Help us find them. You get cash money, they go to jail. That way, if you need to rent any equipment, we'll pay for it. And you won't have to worry about using stolen equipment. This would not have been possible without the Attorney General and her prosecutors through statewide prosecutions. Let me turn it over to the General.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here today. Those of us in law enforcement and those that have worked closely with law enforcement wait for days like this when the structures we put in place and the teamwork we put in place and the skills that we develop pay off. And they make a tangible difference in our communities and in our state. And today is a recognition of that. And you see with me today, Representative from FDLE, Sheriff Grady Judd, those are who are appearing on camera. But there are those in this room and elsewhere that have worked diligently to bring this case to this point where we have charges against folks for a theft ring, an organized criminal ring that spans 16 counties. So today was a lot of work, and this is a success story. So I am proud to be here. I wouldn't have missed today's announcement. It also shows that the rule of law is alive and well in Florida. And while that may seem to be a pipe dream in other states, in Florida, that will always remain true, at least as long as Sheriff Grady Judd remains the sheriff here in Polk County, and I remain the Attorney General, and our great Governor DeSantis pledges to continue to work with law enforcement and those around our state to keep this state safe and secure.
I love him.
Because those are the core tenets that make a strong state. Over the past few years, we have seen lawlessness as it relates to organized retail theft. We've seen organized theft skyrocket around the nation, and almost daily, you can see a video or research a case where another smash and grab happens or another.
I can't see chat, guys, just so you know. I'm not being rude. I cannot see chat.
Calculated conspiracy and theft ring comes to fruition in these far off cities where they may employ soft on crime policies. But that's not how it works here in Florida. Certainly that's not how Polk County works. And thieves will always end up on the losing end of a bargain here in Polk County. Since taking office in 2019, my statewide prosecutors have filed 79 cases and charged and or sentenced another 236 individuals in cases involving organized retail theft. No matter how clever a criminal may think that they are, no matter how ingenuitive they think they have been in coming up with a new scheme to defraud or steal, we will ultimately catch them, because as the sheriff just told me as we were walking in here, the truth can try and run and hide, but we'll always find it. Truth always wins out. And that is true here in Florida. And we created what we call FORCE, and that's an initiative we created back in 2021, which stands for the Florida Organized Retail Crime Exchange. And because of that database, because of this exchange, the relationship between law enforcement, retailers, the community, because of the task force we put in place, we were able to quickly assimilate information, work with our counterparts in other counties and retailers on this case, and that is what brings us all together today. The open lines of communication and the ability to quickly share information created through FORCE allows us to zero in on thieves faster than we have been able to do before. The teamwork shown on this case is remarkable, certainly unfortunate for the members of this organized retail theft ring. The ringleader worked with his accomplices to steal items across the state, again, 16 counties, wipe that equipment from most indication of ownership from the retail store that they rented from, and then they would sell that equipment through massive profits. And they thought they were smart by smashing the GPS trackers on the pieces of equipment that they stole, but certainly not enough to outwit our team here that's in place in Polk County. Home Depot suffered considerable losses because of this scheme, but it's not just Home Depot that suffers and feels the ramification of crimes like these. And that is why it's so important to remember why this task force and this team and this structure we put in place is so important. Businesses have to account for these massive losses. And the people that bear the brunt of those losses that are calculated into what it costs to run a business are you and me and folks in our communities that are going to Home Depot and other retailers and buying products. Because the losses, because of theft rings like this, because of people that weren't taught right from wrong, because they have no consideration for anyone but their own pecuniary gain, we consumers, we citizens pay the price for that. These losses get passed on to us in forms of higher prices at a cash register. So when thieves steal from businesses, when they're able to build up a massive scheme and ring and steal from businesses, it is those of us that are consumers that pay the price. We've said this before, it's why we built this organization, it's why we have this team. We will not stand for that in Florida. There is a reason that Polk County is the fastest growing county in our state. It is one of the top 10 fastest growing counties in the nation. And that is because when you see other counties in this nation hemorrhage businesses, when businesses are shuttering, moving out of a state, moving out of a community, it's because they cannot keep pace with the cost of crime. And when you have leaders, both in an executive position or in law enforcement or in prosecution, that will not have their backs and will not ensure their safety and the protection of their stores as the rule of law requires, they will leave. And time again, we see this play out across the country. Not in Polk County. That is why it is one of the fastest growing counties in this nation. Not in Florida. Under my watch and under the leadership of Governor DeSantis, we will continue to work closely with FDLE, with Sheriff Judd, with other law enforcement partners across the state, and with our retail partners to ensure that our citizens are not getting the short end of a deal because thieves think that they're more important, because they have no values, because they have no morals, because they commit crimes at will. We cannot stand for that. We will not stand for that. And that is why Florida will continue to lead this nation and will continue to attract others They want leaders that will protect the rule of law and them in a strong and safe state. Appreciate you guys being here with us to help us spread this word.
Thank you, General. And as we introduce to you Michael Giddens, I want to show you this
I think she forgot to thank Sheriff Grady Judd.
probable cause affidavit again. In case you didn't get it or understand this affidavit, and those out there may be saying, okay, so what? Normally a probable cause affidavit is like 1 page.
What?
And this
Oh,
is 260 pages. That is the problem these folks created for the community.
what?
And we couldn't have been successful without FDLE.
Mike Giddens with FDLA out of Orlando. This case
It
was a great cooperative.
was a
effort.
book.
Can't thank enough the private partners, Home Depot, Polk County, FDLE. We helped with the jurisdictional challenges that are inherent to these cases. These cases are very complex, and as you can see, labor intensive with putting it together. Andrew Goodlett and Jim Franquiz from Andrews from Polk County. He's a detective, and Jim Franquiz from FDLE are the 2 case agents that were kind of the leaders in this case. And it just goes to show that these cases are out there, and this isn't going to be the last one. We're going to continue to fight this problem within the state of Florida.
Any questions?
I've gotten stuff from Home Depot, but my recollection, which is now kind of close to it, but I'm pretty sure I gave them my license. I'm pretty sure I gave them a credit card. Did this guy go in and do the same and take off, or just steal it in the middle of the night?
Well, you've heard me say this over and over again. You know, please, when you go home in the evening, take your pocketbook, your wallet, your guns into the house. A lot of their fake identification that they used was from them flipping handles in neighborhoods or other people flipping handles in neighborhoods and selling them the fake identification. So at the end of the day, whenever you don't lock your car up in front of your house, or if you have the ability, clean your garage out and park it in the garage, then they're going to come steal your identification, and then they're going to either use it or sell it to these people if they're not the ones that flip the handle, and they're usually not, in order to go do other organized retail crime. Or they're going to take your gun, as we reported here, I think 2 weeks ago, 4 guns were stolen in one night from one neighborhood out of cars, and those guns are going to be used in criminal conduct. So they went in with different identifications up and down the coast of Florida and through the central part of Florida, and that's how they were successful.
And then the people on the video, are they arrested? Are they among this group?
They absolutely are. The ringleader was the one who got out of the left rear seat. They were part of the operation. I don't know how they were charged by Volusia County, but ultimately, and we charged him, he's sitting in state prison for his violation of law as it related to the child neglect, because the kids were in the car when he fled, and his charges about fleeing. But isn't it interesting though, he jumped over the car, the front seat, into the back seat whenever they arrested him, and you go, well, he's out of the left passenger seat. No, he was the driver who was once again trying to pull a scam, and Volusia County did a remarkable job of stopping all of that. And then our detective called them on the scene and said, get me that phone and we'll take this case, because we're investigating him statewide. It just was remarkable work by many law enforcement agencies. But I underscore,
Wow.
if it weren't for Attorney General Ashley Moody creating this statewide task force, all of these resources could not have been used appropriately. If we tried to try them in the different jurisdictions across the state, it would be a hodgepodge of a mess. But we're
These guys all seem to work together really well. I bet you he's just a breeze to work with.
Bringing them all together. And Home Depot is not standing for people stealing from them. Oh, by the way, none of these people are ever welcome on Home Depot property again.
Fair enough.
So from now on, if they step 1 foot onto Home Depot property, then we're going to put the shiny hiney in the county jail. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Well, there you go. Right? There you go. So that was the presser. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.